And we are delighted to have you with us on the starting lineup as we welcome you back for the second segment. Starting lineup is brought to you by Play It Again Sports, Fremont Shopping Center, Battlefield and Fremont, Springfield. Great deals, folks, for anybody with any kind of sports item you need at Play It Again Sports. Swing Right Golf at South Campbell, a little bit north of Nixa, and indeed you can practice your golf and use the simulator if necessary. Citizens Bank of Rogersville has two locales, one adjacent to Highland Springs and the other in Rogersville itself. And Marshfield Chevrolet at the I-44 exit, a couple of left turns, and you cross over I-44. You're on the north side, and you drive on the outer road, of course. You drive right into Marshfield Chevrolet, and you're driving into some great, great deals. I'm Ned Reynolds, along with
Scott Purrier
and Art Haynes.
Morning, Arthur.
Morning, guys.
We're going to talk some Cardinals baseball with Springfield Cardinals General Manager Dan Reiter. Dan, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing great. I know that you're excited because it's another 6-game homestand starting tonight. The Wichita team is in town. I was looking through your promotions calendar. I think one of our favorite attraction stops is front and center tonight with Silver Dollar City. Kind of tell us what's going on tonight and the rest of the week.
Yeah, the last couple of years, we've worked with Silver Dollar City on a few different things, and I think both of us hope that we can be part of people's summer plans in the Ozarks. I think that's kind of our mutual bond. But yeah, tonight we're actually going to be giving away different family 4-packs to Silver Dollar City. So every fan that walks in, they're going to get a raffle ticket, and then we're going to be doing drawings. So every inning, we're going to give away a family 4-pack and then a grand prize winner of someone who's going to get 10 tickets to go to Silver Dollar City. And it's just something we had a lot of success with some other lucky fan giveaways. And so when we discussed that with Silver Dollar City, we thought it was a great way. And obviously Silver Dollar City, when you go there, the people they're so good about being in character and like not just standing there, but living the moment. So some of the Silver Dollar City characters will be at the stadium tonight as well to be able to kind of talk to some fans on the concourse.
Are you going to play the role of Old Shad, the blacksmith?
No, you're saying I'm the sad blacksmith then?
No, old Shad, that was his name.
That was the character, yeah.
That was his name, okay. Yeah. Well, and again, we went there a couple summers ago, and my son still talks about it, is that him and I did like the water balloon toss on Main Street. and he still talks about the guy that threw the water balloon. And I mean, he can remember everything about it, and then them dumping water over me. So I think that's probably really the core memory that he has.
Oh, very good.
But no, Silver Dollar City does such a great job of family entertainment. So we're really excited to be able to bring that to the ballpark. And then Wednesday night, something, people may or may not be aware of, but we actually do something on Wednesday night games called Worship Wednesday, where we partner with a local church. We actually open the gates up just a few minutes early. And a church kind of leads a small Wednesday night service. They've got a message and some worship music. And I think it's pretty cool whenever the gates open and you actually can kind of hear that worship music. So we've got a Worship Wednesday for anyone that wants to arrive early on a Wednesday night, led by New Life Church this upcoming Wednesday. And then we turn it over to what I think is one of our funniest promotions of the year. And we have 1 million free calories of bratwurst that we're giving away on Thursday. Yeah, I'm glad you like that one there. But it's just last year we had so much success doing the 5,000 hot dog giveaway. We're like, well, how do we do a different twist? And like, well, we started doing the math on it. Like giving away 1 million calories of free bratwurst just kind of has a pretty funny ring to it. But also, I know we've spent some other time talking to you guys about how we introduced the Ozark Snipe Hunters. It'll be another one of our Snipe Hunters nights, which has really been such a fun thing. Of people being able to share their stories of them snipe hunting or taking their kids on snipe hunts or nieces and nephews. And so between snipe hunts and 1 million calories of free bratwurst, we think Thursday night's going to be great. And then we turn it over Friday and Saturday to our kind of Route 66 weekend where our guys are going to be reeling these really awesome custom jerseys, kind of celebrating Route 66, America 250. We're going to be auctioning those off as well, going towards charity. And then on Saturday, we're giving away some really great shirts from Aaron Sachs and Associates, kind of celebrating the same thing, that kind of Americana Route 66. type of super soft t-shirt, which, I think they've always done a great job with the shirts they give them. You see them all over town. And then we get to close it out on Sunday. And Sunday, kids get free hats. Kids get to run the bases. They get free Highland Dairy. So if you didn't find something fun enough for you Tuesday through Saturday, Sunday is always such a great day when it comes to the kiddos.
Dan, man, hats off for your all's creativity. I can't imagine what your sessions look like when you plan all this in your mad scientist laboratory.
Yeah, what are some of the ones that didn't make the cut that maybe you thought, what's the worst promotion one of your people ever came up with, and you thought, well,
they'd say it was me that came up with it, first of all. It's not someone else. Like, the really bad ones are from Dan. But no, I think the one we still haven't done that I still don't think it's dead, but I still want to do intern pinata. And I want to take some of our young staff and turn them into pinatas where kids hit them with pool noodles, and at the end they throw up a whole bunch of candy that kids get. So I still think intern pinata will be hilarious, but everyone's like, Dan, we can't do that. So that's one that's probably been on the chopping block for the last 10 years.
I like it. HR may not like it, but I like it, and I think the fans would like it too. So, it's been brutally hot the last week. Looks like you guys are going to catch a weather break the rest of the week, and knock on wood there, with temps dropping back into the 80s and even 77 for a high on Saturday. So people know, when you go to a Springfield Cardinals game and it is 95 plus heat with a heat index over 100, what are precautions you guys take as a staff to make sure everybody stays safe and hydrated?
Yeah, first of all, there's such a big difference between being in the sun and being in the shade. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part that people are always the most surprised about when they come to the game is, trying to be able to get seats that are in the shade. And honestly, if you show up and you're in the sun, I'd walk on the concourse and kind of stand, more towards the shade until those seats get that. But I think that's the number one difference, is just how big of a difference shade can make. And we really do try to work on our game times in the summer to try to be able to get people to stay the most cool. And that's why over the years, we actually, a few years ago, we bumped our Saturday games back 30 minutes. We were doing 6:30 starts for a while and moved them to 7. So I think that's number one, is just the difference between the shade. But we'll always have like some watering stations. We have our staff that are on the lookout for anyone that's having any difficulties with heat. We have a first aid and security room that's got air conditioning, and when we see any of those fans, we offer to please take them in there. The same thing, if we see anyone walking in that's got a baby, we always tell them about that room in case they need to go in there and cool the baby down, or they need to nurse the child. So that first aid and security room, we partner with Mercy and their AMTs, and they do such a good job of trying to keep people going. But, I think the other one's just staying hydrated. And I think that's something we hear from everybody. And that's why we make sure to know, we remind all of our staff to take extra breaks. We remind them to please drink water. If they see a fan, go to the water cooler and get them the water for them. And so I think between shade, water, and having our staff look out, I think those are the biggest ones that we always try to work on.
Springfield Cardinals are the reigning Texas League champions, and while the first half was not particularly successful, it looks very good in the second half. You wouldn't mind being in the playoffs again.
You always take that extra home game. Anytime you get the chance to have that extra home game, that's a good thing.
You bet.
And we do find ourselves, the second half, the team's been playing really, really well. And I think that's something at the beginning of the season with Patrick Anderson, I think he knew the team was young. And when you have a team that's that young, you kind of got to grow into your own a little bit. And, I think anyone that's ever had a little brother sees that, is, little brother gets beat up on for a while, and then they're going to find a way to compete. But as our team, they have, and right now they're sitting there in first place in the half. But we also find ourselves in minor league baseball. There's an interesting twist to the playoffs, is that there's two scenarios where we would make them. And first is you win the second half, and that's easy and outright, and you love the sound of it. But the other one is Tulsa, and the Dodgers, if they win the first half and we get second, then we still make the playoffs. And I think that's kind of one of those things that you have to watch. And especially, the Dodgers have historically the last few years had a really good farm system. So, if we're playing Tulsa, obviously, I want them to the Cardinals to win and the Dodgers to lose. But other than that, that's a part of the interesting twist to minor league baseball in the standings, is that if we can't win the division, then we want Tulsa to win so that we can get second.
Dan, do you all have any say in the concessions, or is the concessionaire pretty much autonomous on that?
Yes and yes. And so it's kind of an interesting, but I am glad you brought it up though, Art, because we actually opened up 2 new concession stands just at this July, and one of them it's a grill and something people have been asking for a while, and now you can get a grilled quarter-pound Nathan's hot dog right off the grill. We also introduced a Route 66 smokehouse dog, which is that Nathan's hot dog with brisket, a little bit of fried onion and some barbecue sauce. And that's people that have had that have been really, really happy. So we've got a new grill, Louie's Route 66 Diner. And then we also introduced one more with chicken, and it's kind of like a build your own bowl with chicken where you can choose French fries, mac and cheese, or nacho chips. There's a shredded chicken or more of like a chicken tender chopped up that you can pick, and then you can pick one of 3 sides on it to be able to go onto it. Or you can be like me and you can go with the dessert option of funnel cake fries with chicken tenders and syrup on top. And it was so good. But yeah, we've worked with them this year to try to expand our food options. So we introduced those 2, and then the other one is a value menu. And I think it's a great thing to talk about is that people that they've felt inflation the last few years, and so we've introduced more of a consistent value menu so that it doesn't have to be the free bratwurst day. It doesn't have to be the $2 tacos on Tuesdays. Any game that fans come to, we've got that value menu that's open on the first base line, and I think that's been another important addition to our mix at the stadium.
Dan, you had the nationally televised game a week ago this past Saturday on MLB Network. How did that come about, and is that something that can be an annual thing, or kind of talk about the process on that?
Well, unfortunately, I can't make it an annual thing. The only people that can make that an annual thing is MLB. But really, what they do is they look at the slate of games that they have going, and what they try to be able to match up is what teams have the most good number of high prospects. And I think we just got very fortunate that they knew that with our starting pitcher, we were going to have Doyle, we were going to have Jerpy, or we were going to have switch pitcher.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce it.
Kid from Mississippi State.
Yeah, Sencha? Is that it?
Sencha.
Yeah.
Sencha, I think that's right. Yeah, sorry. I'm more of a night guy, so I think it's natural with my job. But no, the between those 3, they knew that they were going to get a top tier starting pitcher. And I think the stars just aligned the way that the schedule worked. I would love it if we could make that an every year thing, but I'm also very grateful just to even get it as a one-off.
Well, it's not the first time, because the first time was the Cardinals' first year of existence. They had, I believe it was Fox that came in here and did a game nationally. It was a Saturday night game, and the Cardinals played the Wichita Wranglers at the time because Frank White was their manager back then.
That's, again, they didn't allow me on the press level back then. They didn't trust me to go up around anything important.
Arthur?
I guess you feel good, Dan, about the changes that have been made in the second and third tier. You pretty much gutted that a couple years ago.
Yeah, the new press level, it's been great, and we've seen is we've had more companies that have been booking individual suite nights than we've ever seen. People that have never come out, but it's also turned into a meeting space, and that's something we didn't really have. To where we've got companies that are coming out on, they're coming out on a random Wednesday to do an all-day company retreat, and that's just a part of the business that we never had that a lot of other teams have. So, looking at it from kind of special events has been great. We've had a couple people actually that they had celebrations of life up there in there. We've had a few charities do some not-for-profit stuff up there. And so really those new suites have gone over really, really well. And I think we're excited to see what's coming. We actually hired our first ever person dedicated to special events because we think that's kind of one of those opportunities for our organization is not just be a baseball team, but be a facility that's open, every day of the year.
Dan, before we let you go, the regular season final game is Sunday, September 13th. Refresh us again on the playoff format if the Cardinals ran it. Is it a best of 3? Each round of that, and how do they determine where those games are?
Yeah, it would be best of three. The first division championship, if you win the first half, then you would host the games 2 and 3. So we would host that game 1, which would be on a Tuesday. And then the championship series actually rotates every other year between the North and South division. So, last year, since we were on the road, if we would be fortunate enough to go to the championship, games 2 and 3 would actually be in Springfield.
That's awesome. And I remember the days when, guys, when the last game of the season hit, you'd have a 1-0 game that took an hour and 10 minutes to play because those guys already were packed up. They get kind of excited, though, if they get to play for a championship, right?
They do. And it's as much as minor league baseball is about development and getting those guys ready to take the next step. When it gets towards the end of the halves, you start seeing a different level of competitiveness, a different level of focus. And when you think about developing players, you want that. You want them to be playing competitive baseball. You want them to see what the playoffs are like. But you definitely see the atmosphere in the locker room change if they do get towards that end of the season to be able to play the playoffs. And, again, I obviously hope we're fortunate enough to experience that again. In this trade deadline, I'm as interested as anybody to see what happens with the St. Louis Cardinals. Because last 2 years, especially, they kind of did get an influx of talent. But not only that, but you would get an influx of new talent, but you also would have some openings in AAA or the big leagues that guys will have to move. So this trade deadline, this next week here, could be very interesting to see what the roster of the Springfield Cardinals looks like.
Very good. Dan, have a great week. Save Ned about 5 of those brats on Thursday, and we'll talk to you soon.
Speak for thyself.
Yeah.
I got you. I got both you guys. We'll have your brats ready.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Take care.
That's
Thanks, everybody.
Dan Reiter from the Springfield Cardinals visiting with us. Can you allow me to elaborate for just a second?
Sure.
Dan talked about, and you did too, toward the end of the season, the fact that the games are very quick. I remember televising, and I think it was the Cardinals' first or second year, but Bales and I are doing the game, and it's a Labor Day. And it's a Labor Day afternoon, beautiful afternoon. And Bales says, you watch, Reynolds, this game is going to go very, very quickly, very quickly. And he elaborated as to why the players went out of there.
Yeah.
So we saw something that I had never seen before and not seen since. Late in the game, it's whoever the Cardinals play, Arkansas or whoever it was. Runner comes around third and tries to come home on a play from the outfield. And he is thrown out at home plate. He is immediately followed by the other runner coming home. And the catcher has the ball. It's a tandem double play. And Bale says, see what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
We'll take a timeout on the starting lineup and be right back. And you're home for the St. Louis Cardinals as well. And the Cardinals play again tonight, 6:45 starting time. Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs at Busch Stadium. And the Redbirds will try to right the ship against the Cubbies tonight. Chicago won last night 7-3. I'm Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
Art Haynes.
Do minor league guys get any kind of bonus if their team wins?
Don't think so.
Wouldn't that be something that would be a pretty good motivator for guys who don't make much money anyway?
They do get rings for the championship.
But I mean, like if they kicked in another $2,000 a player or something. So. I mean, don't you think the St. Louis Cardinals could offer? I mean, they could afford. What is there, 25 men on these rosters probably?
Yeah, 25 or 26.
Yeah, $50,000 or something in bonus money if your team wins the overall level of your minor leagues, or they just don't care.
Scott, you have to keep in mind now the Cardinals Association, the big Cardinals with the St. Louis Cardinals and Springfield Cardinals is a player agreement. It has nothing to do with the ownership of the team or anything like that. The team is owned by Diamond Sports. That's a group that has purchased a number of minor league clubs around the nation, and the Springfield Cardinals are one of them. So the working relationship with St. Louis and Springfield is simply a player agreement.
Well, but nothing stopping the Cardinals or any other team from offering that money to their players. I mean, they're probably not going to, but I think that would be a nice gesture.
I don't think there's anything legal about it that says that you don't have to or you do have to. But again, you're running into circumstances in which you're trying to watch your finances a little bit. But who knows? And they may.
Well, and it's the teams that pay the minor leaguers, correct? Not Diamond Sports. It's the actual parent team. Yeah. So
the players.
Yeah, because I would think that, and we have seen some pretty crappy games late in the year, like you just described there, that they're ready to get home. That they've been doing this for since spring training in February, and go home and see their families if they're not with them and things like that. But everything else, it seems like every player's got these contracts with incentives for this, and this. It'd be kind of cool if those guys who don't make a lot could get a couple extra grand for sticking around, especially you're sticking around for what, maybe 2 more weeks or a week? Is it a week?
Well, I think they'd get extra pay for being in the playoffs. I mean, it'd be like working overtime for nothing.
That's true. I wonder if they do. That'd be a good question because
I'm sure they do.
I mean, I wonder if they're on a 138 game pay schedule and anything else is OT or what. So, yeah, interesting to see how that turns out. And of course, the thing is that you get into September and you start fighting football, for fans and entertainment and everything else, and everybody kind of. A lot of them, especially locally, flip the switch once you get into August and get excited about high school football and the Bears, and of course your teams right around here, from the SEC and things like that. So,
do you have their schedule in front of you?
Who's that?
The Cardinals.
I did have. Yeah. What were you?
All right. Look at September 12th. I think they're home that night, if I'm not mistaken.
They are Arkansas Travelers.
That happens to be the night the Bears open up.
And that's a 6:35 game there too. Yeah, the Travelers are here that final week. I know the 11th, my daughter's being honored as their salute to veterans deal that Friday night.
That's a Friday night.
Yeah, and then Saturday, going head-to-head, and that's a 6:35. Maybe they might look at moving that in September to an afternoon game. Yeah, and stuff. Because that's Art, we were talking with Corey about marquee games on the Bears schedule this fall for football. And he pointed out the Marshall return game and then Liberty coming in. Are those the two on your list that are probably if you talk to a new Bears fan and they say, I want to get into this football thing, are those the two you're going to have them circle?
Yeah, I'd say so for the reasons that he cited.
Yeah, and, what kind of crowd do you think they can get for that Marshall game, especially being an evening game? Now, SMU wasn't it a 2:30 kickoff?
It was. Yeah.
Last year?
You're talking about last year?
Yeah.
In Huntington, West Virginia?
No, the SMU game here.
The SMU game was 2:30.
Yeah, it was brutal.
And it was also 230 degrees out there, too, at the time.
Yeah, so I like that they're doing the night game with this. I think, is it 6, I think, on this kickoff? We'll call that up. But yeah, so I wonder what can they get in there for that? What would be a good crowd number?
If they could, I think 17,500 or 18,000 is considered a full house over there. If they could come close to that would be very good.
Well, we didn't last year at all, but you got Jacksonville, you got Lindenwood the week before, so that's the opener. That needs to be a feel-good game and get things going, and then take on Marshall. And if things are going well, I mean, no question they couldn't get 14 or 15,000.
That is right. Yeah, I had them backwards too. Lindenwood is that September 12th, Marshall on the 19th. You've got A&M on the road on the 5th, which to me seems like a week later start than they've had here recently, isn't it? And they always kind of played that week 0, the Bears.
They have in the past.
Yeah, yeah. Get an extra week there at A&M, back home for Lindenwood, back home for Marshall, and then go to SMU on the 26th. Art, are you making the trip down to Dallas for that?
Thinking about it.
Are you?
We're going down in November for a wedding, but it's not that much of a drive, so we might do that.
Then they jump right into the fire at Western Kentucky, which I think is supposed to be very good this year, are they not?
Number 1.
Yeah. And
behind Liberty, but
yeah, and then
they're right up there.
They finish up Jack State and Liberty the last 2 games of the year. So, that bowl confidence index poll that we didn't really talk about last, I think it came out on Friday after the show. Bears picked for 7th out of 10. Your thoughts on that, Art? Is that out where you think they thought they would be?
Yeah, based on returning players, or more correctly, losses from last year, Jacob Clark and Ryan Beard.
Mm-hmm. Ned, you're okay with that?
I think that's about accurate as to where they're going to be, although it would not surprise me if the Bears were a whole lot better than that. This is a good group of athletes that Coach Woods has brought in here, and with the holdover group that they have, I think they'll be representative at the very best.
Jacob Clark, just such a huge loss to graduation and such a unique quarterback for them. You're always in a game because you might score 3 touchdowns in 6 minutes, with him firing that thing back there.
Yeah, but you have a quarterback who may be the starting quarterback who played in the Gator Bowl last year.
Yeah.
And did well.
Well, but they've got to figure out who the quarterback's going to be.
Well, again, that's
yeah, and I don't think either one of them is Jacob Clark. I don't think they're that quality, so it's going to be interesting to see with Casey Woods' first offense how they move forward with that. Art, really tough situation with Eric Bieniemy and the Chiefs with his wife and his son. Have you dove into that much?
Well, not really scratched much below the surface, but what a terrible thing what news to get when you're on the practice field.
Yeah.
And apparently she's going to be all right, but that's just a terrible family tragedy.
Yeah, you got a wife recovering and a son that you've got to hire an attorney for, and you get all that figured out too, because you don't stop being a dad in that situation. I know you wonder what the heck happened, but really tough. And I just wonder how much time away Eric Bieniemy needs with this. It's not something you fix in a few days and get stabilized. So we'll see, but. They've got so many staffers up there. They'll be fine, won't they, at training camp?
Sure, they will. Yeah, they'll be fine. Even if this had happened during the regular season, he'd had to step away. But
yeah,
he's going to get all the time he needs to get things settled.
All right, well, let's take a timeout and talk to T-Bear.
This is the starting lineup. We'll be right back. And the starting lineup brought to you by Play It Again Sports, by Swing Right Golf, by Citizens Bank of Rogersville, and by Marshfield Chevrolet. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
And Art Haynes.
And is on the line with us, as he is each Tuesday morning around 8:30, Trenton Berry of Racing Dirt, our auto racing correspondent. T-Bear, good morning.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Just the throes of summer, and
yeah,
you've probably seen all kinds of different weather and at all the different tracks. Are you better with hot or cooler weather on the racing? And how does it? Definitely cooler.
Definitely cooler. Yeah, 100% cooler. We've got these. So they make these battery powered jackets now that have these lithium batteries in them, and so you just recharge those batteries up. And I'm telling you, I can put a couple 3 layers on and put my battery jacket on the outside, and I'll be good to go.
And that's like an air-conditioned vest type deal, right?
Well, on the heat side of things, but when it's hot outside, you're just miserable. Like you're a couple steps away from death, for sure.
T-Bear,
yeah, it was hot.
With the engines in racing cars, do they respond better hotter it is or colder?
Cooler. They respond better when it's good. Now, so there's a fine line, not too cold. You don't want them to be too cold, so they have to adjust the carburetors. Because, at the top of that engine, the carburetor dictates your fuel and air ratio that helps that motor run optimally, I guess is the word. And but yeah, when it's cooler, they run just a little bit better. But you don't want it to be too cold because the motor does have to get to operating temperature. And when the engines struggle to get to temperature, that could be just as hard as well. But it's really hard on the engines when they run. Like this past weekend as hot as it was, we were at Green Valley Saturday. I drank probably 10 bottles of water. We set up at 2:00 for our race this week, and I think I had 2 bottles of Gatorade, the lemon lime Gatorade. Had a couple hydration packets in the little pouches, and I still wondered if I got enough hydration. But it was some kind of hot this past Saturday for sure. So.
Boy, when I was a kid getting in from mowing the yard, nothing tasted better than that lemon lime Gatorade right there.
Yeah. I promise you Saturday afternoon it tasted just that good for sure. Still does.
Hey, tell us about Corey Heim. Where's he come from?
Man, he came from Georgia. Here's what's crazy. Man, I think we probably have the next superstar in the making on our hands. That's 2 wins and 15 starts, and that is some crazy. That's a crazy performance early on in a career. I mean, that's I don't know that if it's ever been done before or not, but that's basically kind of unheard of this early. He's only racing now. Here's what's weird: he won the Truck Series title last year, but he's running part-time across everything this year, and so he's dipping into these handful of Cup races. And the fact that he's won 2, they did not have that expectation for him this year. This was just hey, let's go get you qualified in these races. Let's just run you a handful of times, get enough sponsorship on the car so they can run it, and then just try to finish the race. The biggest thing that they could have done for Corey this year was to just make laps and finish the races. And the fact that he's won 2 of them is crazy. I mean, it's like shots fired. He's served notice. He's here, and he's going to be a problem for the rest of these guys for a long time. He's a cool cat.
Take us through the progression in auto racing.
Yep.
If a kid wants to be eventually be a NASCAR Cup driver, because we know what that path looks like for the NBA and Major League Baseball and the NFL, but in auto racing, if a kid decides at 10, 11, 12 years old he wants to be a driver, what do they do? And how do they climb the ladder?
And it really needs to probably start before that. It can start at that point, but it probably needs to start before. Corey was born in 2002, so this is the topic here. What we're going to start with this. He was born in 2002. So you either go the dirt or the asphalt route. Generally, you're going to start in some kind of go-kart, some kind of high-performance kart. We have a few places you can race dirt karts around the Ozarks, and then some other organizations you can travel with a little bit to run races outside of the area. So you're going to start in a kart. You're going to go, let's say on the dirt side, you're going to race what's called a quarter midget probably at some point. From there, a lot of times you're going to go to move into like maybe a micro, something like that. And then from that point, either you take the stock car route and you get into some sort of either full-bodied or some sort of limited modified type stock car if you go that route. If you want to really have NASCAR aspirations on dirt, though, the majority of those guys stay in the open-wheel cars. And so at that point, you'd go to generally some kind of wing sprint car, non-wing sprint car. Winged cars are generally considered a little bit safer, so a lot of times you would get to a wing car, but not always. And then from there, if you're good enough, you get in one of the national tours, the World of Outlaws, the High Limit Series that Kyle Larson owns, or USAC sprint cars, which are non-wing sprint cars. And at that point, if you're one of those cats, I mean, that was kind of Kyle Larson's progression. He was plucked straight out of sprint car racing. Now, he ran both wing and non-wing. Some guys stick with only one genre. And then you're signed with a driver development deal, and you start on the asphalt. So you're going to start with like now they have what's called the Cars Tour, which is a super late model on asphalt, which kind of resembles to the naked eye kind of a NASCAR style type car, even though it's completely different. But the car kind of looks similar in body design. Now that Cars Tour is owned by Jeff Burton's one of the owners, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is one of the owners. Kevin Harvick's one of the owners, and they just announced Marcus Smith, who heads up SMI. He's one of the owners in that Cars Tour, and that's kind of the breeding grounds to get you on the dirt side to the beginning parts of asphalt before you would make it to NASCAR, which would start with the ARCA series that NASCAR owns. If you're on the asphalt side, you're going to race what's called you start in some kind of kart. You could be in some kind of quarter midget as well on asphalt. Bandoleros and legend cars. They race them primarily in the Southeast, and that was, Corey Heim was more of an asphalt guy in his development. You're going to race those, get in an asphalt late model. Driver development deals signed anywhere from, 12 to 15, 16, 17 years old, something like that. Get you hooked up and affiliated with a team. They'll take you racing in some of the smaller levels. You're still going to get in that same asphalt late model at some point. Right now, most of that stuff happens out of the Cars Tour. It's kind of the breeding grounds before you go to NASCAR. It's really high-level racing, and there's a lot of effort being put into that series that runs. And then it's ARCA series, ARCA trucks, and then if you push from there, it's the O'Reilly series. And for those very select few, they can make it on Sunday. They get a chance, and Corey Heim's there, and he's done it. So there's not really one surefire way to do it, but that's generally the two different paths that you can take to get there.
Corey Heim gets to kiss the bricks at Indianapolis. I want to ask you a little bit about the Brickyard 400. NASCAR considers that to be a crown jewel, part of their Grand Slam. I want your thoughts on that. The crowd was 70,000, and that's almost invisible at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Your thoughts, does it figure into a major?
Man, I feel like from track prestige, it almost has to. You'd sure like to see a few more people there, for sure. And you know, the race was okay, and that's kind of the way racing goes. Sometimes it's okay. I think it probably is one of the majors, really, when I think about it. And I think the track prestige probably drives that as thought process as much as anything for me. You know, you're going to have Daytona, you're going to have the Coke 600, the Bristol Night Race, Darlington. Those are some of the ones that are, you know, tried and true, no doubt about it. You know, Indianapolis Motor Speedway obviously has hung its hat on the Indy 500, which is nothing that's affiliated with NASCAR. But I really do. But I'm kind of with you, Ned. It almost kind of seemed like an invisible crowd, 70,000, when you look at what's at that place right there. So, man, the Brickyard's kind of had a tough go the past few years. But yeah, I do feel like it's one of the majors. But it definitely has some room to get a few more people in there for sure.
Trenton, you talk about going the asphalt route. Where are there asphalt tracks anywhere around here?
Well, so they're running every week at I-44. They race cars out there every weekend. They got a good operation up and going there. It's probably not the household names and the high level of race cars. You know, they're not. Larry Phillips and Jamie McMurray and, you know, the Wallaces are not, you know, that level of guys, not probably there, you know, week in and week out, but they're racing there. As far as asphalt tracks around here, that's basically it for this immediate area. There's definitely other places across the country. Wisconsin's got a hotbed for asphalt tracks, and then there's a lot around the southeast that race still asphalt short tracks, but not much. We're pretty much all dirt around here anymore, but they are doing events at I-44, and the same promotions group's been at it for a handful of years now, and by all accounts, they seem to be doing a pretty good job.
What do the NASCAR Cup Series drivers make in a year, the good ones? You know, we always see the NFL salaries and NBA and everything else, but what do those guys make? And is it more salary from their team or endorsements or a combination? Kind of talk about that structure.
Yeah, I'd say it's all, and there's money from sponsors that come in that as well. I'd say your top tier guys probably making, and I'm kind of shooting in the dark here. I could probably make a few phone calls and get you a little better for sure answer, but I'm going to say they're probably $5 million plus, you know, so something like that around that ballpark. Now, there's plenty of them that aren't making that, though, for sure. And I will tell you this, NASCAR is a little bit different because back in the early 2000s, those driver salaries were more than they are now, for sure. So I might, you know, that $5 million might be pushing it on the very highest end. That might not be more of a median, you know, salary for an upper end driver. I don't exactly know. Now, there was some stuff that came out in the court cases with NASCAR and MJ and all that. There was a lot more numbers got out than they probably had ever wanted to get out. But there was a time back in that early 2000s, those drivers, the top flight Cup drivers that raced on Sunday, all had jets, and a lot of them, you know, there's not many that have their own private jets anymore. There's a few that fly in and out that way, but so that has really changed. And obviously the big thing you can point to is driver salaries going down for a reason that was kind of expendable to their entire operation. You know, it's crazy to me, like Kyle Larson's won 2 Cup championships, one of the highest paid drivers in the sport. He is the Michael Jordan of auto racing. Like that is Kyle Larson. He is the dog. He is him. And he doesn't have his own jet. So to me, that's pretty telling where driver salaries are versus where they were at 15, 20 years ago. And the difference is the sponsorship boom. You know, you used to see, you know, 15 to 20 sponsors that you'd see on a car for 36 weekends. And now you don't know, you know, guy's colors might be hot pink one day and it might be dark blue the next week, and it might be purple, and then it might be gold, and you just don't know what the cars are going to look like from week to week now. And that's because the limited season-long sponsorships that are out there.
T-Bear, how many cars or how many sponsorships did Johnny have on that tour?
As far as the NASCAR stuff right now, man, I don't know. So he's got some stuff in the grassroots world as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would say in the Cup Series, he's probably working with 3 or 4 or 5 drivers, I would say, in different levels of sponsorship. Now, that's a little bit of a guess. I'm sure you guys have him on. He could tell you for sure what he's got. But obviously Chase Briscoe's the big one. But Austin Dillon gets support.
Sure.
Ty Dillon has in previous years. I don't know if he is still currently, but even things like Johnny was a big part of Jamie McMurray's career.
Right.
Well, Jamie McMurray's boy is racing those asphalt late models that we talked about a little bit ago. And Jamie's ran a little bit of that kind of with him on a part-time schedule, and there's Bass Pro sponsorship in that series too. So it extends beyond NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt's grandson is a kid named Wyatt Miller. He's racing sprint cars, and he races the Bass Pro Shop sprint car. So he's got little tentacles out everywhere.
Arthur?
Trenton, where are you going to be this weekend?
We're going to Kansas City Friday night to Lakeside Speedway. Rain with holding there on that one. Then we're going to be at Lake of the Ozarks Saturday night. We're going to race late models this weekend. We've got 4 late model tour races on our series, and we've got 2 more scheduled. So should be fun. Invite everybody from earshot of this right now to Lake of the Ozarks Saturday night. It should be a good one. I've started making phone calls and texts out this week and expect a pretty good field of cars there. So hopefully we can have us a good one Friday night at Lakeside too, and Lake Ozark there Saturday.
Yeah, I noticed that Briscoe on Sunday didn't have the Bass Pro logo on the car.
Yeah.
How does that work? Was it on a different car that day, or how do they decide?
So Johnny would just decide. Bass Pro would decide the races that they want for the year, and so you could have a 6-race deal, 10-race deal, 20-race deal. Where I'm sure if we were to go back and dissect, there's probably an associate sponsor decal somewhere on there. Bass Pro, Tracker, one of the brands. There's probably something still on the car small, but it's all about primary funding and how many races that you sign up for. It's just a business deal. Basically that car's a rolling billboard, and they decide how many races that they want to fill that billboard up, and how many that they kind of take a back seat on over the course of a season, or 2 or 3 year sponsorship deal. Sometimes it's on the driver's fire suit. Sometimes it's on their gloves. Sometimes you see the in-car shots. Like if you ever see a product placement on like a little sticker that's on the side of the driver's seat or something like that, those have all been put in by the crew that week. And that's like, they don't just randomly have a camera shot that's on live TV that's not been planned out with the proper sticker placement. So, it could be literally it could be a million different things. It could be, social media could be part of that. And I'm sure in most of these cases it is now. So, I'm sure Bass Pro could tell you if you got in the weeds with them that, hey, we did primary on Chase Briscoe's car this year for 15 of the Cup races. And so then they just pick the races they want. When that one's done, they're moving on, and they're looking for primary funding for the rest of the schedule from that point forward.
And the guys on your tour, they're pretty much people that are on there the whole year, right? They've got a sponsor for a season. Yeah.
Yes, as far as their sponsorships and it's local regional businesses a lot. We do get some bigger brands. There's in the sales world, I don't want to lose a lot of the audience, but these bigger companies have what's called co-op dollars. So a lot of times they can have a connection somewhere, and they can get co-op dollars that promote both the local brand dealer rep that's there, but also the parent company at large as well. You can do kind of a combo deal there. And yeah, they're just kind of free to do what they want with their car. It's everything's just scaled. You know what I mean? Like it's just scaled up, scaled down. We have with our series, NASCAR has their key partners for their series, and those are the ones that provide the revenue to help NASCAR operate as a business. Well, we have those same things for our Heartland Promotions company that puts on all these races, and we take our sponsorship money at the end of the year, and that's what pays out those season-ending point funds that attract the cars. Based on your point standings at the end of the year, there's a dollar figure that is affixed to that finishing position that gets paid out for basically a year's worth of work.
I always feel so bad at Lucas Oil if there's a car that just has a number and no stickers or anything. Is that kind of like your ad here, basically saying every time they go around the track, we'll take you?
So it can be. Or here's what's sneaky in dirt racing. That can also be the richest guy in the pits that says, there's nobody on my race car. Self-funded, it's me. Hey, I pay for all my own stuff. Now, listen, I have heard guys a time or two say, they'll ask, like, who do you need to thank helping you out? And it's go, me.
Me.
I need to thank myself. I need to thank myself for my alarm clock and my ability to get out of bed, which, hey, clearly, by the way, I did a lot better job this week, just so you know.
Oh, yeah,
I'll pat my own self on the back there.
You popped in at 8:05, even though you weren't on till 8:30. We appreciate that.
That's right.
So,
Hey, Trenton,
punching in early today.
You talk about the cars and the sponsorships and so forth. I was always mesmerized by the M&M's car because it was always the most colorful.
Same.
Who drove that one?
Well, so the guy that did it in NASCAR's heyday, you talked to him a couple of weeks ago. That was Schrader. And he ran for MB2 Motorsports, and it was a Pontiac at the time in the early 2000s. And Elliott Sadler ran it after Schrader. Kyle Busch, obviously, Kyle Busch gave that thing a ride throughout his era with the M&M's car, but Schrader was the one, as far as I'm concerned, that really popularized and brought that one mainstream. And it was one of the coolest cars. I asked Kenny back in March, he told me he still gets probably 40. He said he signs 40 to 50 pieces of memorabilia a week that get sent to his race shop. His wife sets it all out. He's got a huge kitchen counter at his house, that's massive. It's probably 20 foot in length across his kitchen, and they set all the stuff out, and he signs once a week. He signs all his memorabilia, and I said how much is M&M's? He goes, I sign more M&M's stuff than I sign of anything else. So, Kenny was the one that really popularized that.
We appreciate it. Look forward to our talk next week.
Sounds great, guys. See you. Appreciate all of you. Have a great week.
You bet. Take care.
Trenton Berry, Dirt Racing, visiting with us. Time out, back in a second. And you're home for the St. Louis Cardinals as well. Cardinals play the Cubs tonight. Ned Reynolds with
Scott Purrier.
And Art Haynes.
Arthur, your Royals headed north for Minnesota. Start a series tonight. Taj Bradley, the opposing pitcher. He's been really good for them of late. Could be a tough task.
Face Taj Bradley, Joe Ryan, and Bradley Ober, first two of which are really tough. Ryan is always tough on the Royals, so yeah, that'll be a tough series.
I did see where they may get Michael Garcia back by Friday or the weekend. He's on a rehab assignment now, so that's good.
Well, Kyle Isbell probably maybe tonight.
Yeah,
and Bobby Witt by Friday.
Good, kind of getting back healthy, and we're out of time, guys.
We are indeed. We had a very good show, and we have more, of course, planned for tomorrow and the rest of the week. We very much appreciate your being with us on the starting lineup. It's always a lot of fun for us, and hopefully it is for you as well. So we'll wrap her up. We're in the stretch run. I'm Ned Reynolds, along with
Scott Purrier.
Art Haynes.
Thank you very much for being with us on the starting lineup, and we plan on seeing you tomorrow right here.
See ya.